There is a moment, a quiet, invisible moment that happens inside a woman somewhere around her 40th year. And when it comes, everything changes. She stops waiting for your approval. She stops softening her voice to keep the peace. She stops shrinking herself into the shape of what someone else needs her to be. And suddenly, she starts making demands, not loud ones, not angry ones, but firm ones, steady ones. The kind that come from a woman who has finally stopped being afraid of what happens if she speaks her truth. If you have a woman like this in your life, or if you are this woman, what you're about to discover will change the way you see everything. Stay with me. Welcome back, beautiful souls. I'm so glad you're here. This channel exists for one reason: to help you understand the deeper, quieter truths about human connection, love, and the remarkable psychology of mature relationships. And today we are diving into something that I believe is one of the most misunderstood shifts in all of adult life. We are talking about the power shift that happens in women after 40, why it happens, what it looks like from the inside and the outside, and most importantly, why men who cannot adapt to this shift will watch her walk away, not in anger, just in peace. If this is your first time here, welcome. Please like and subscribe so you never miss a conversation like this one, and stay until the end, because the final truth in this video is the one that will quietly rearrange something inside you. Shift number 1. She stops performing happiness for most of her life. She smiled when she did not feel like smiling. There is a psychological phenomenon called emotional labor, the invisible work of managing your own feelings in order to manage the feelings of everyone around you. Women are conditioned to perform this from girlhood. Keep the mood light. Smooth things over. Don't make anyone uncomfortable. But after 40, something shifts in the brain itself. Research in developmental psychology consistently shows that midlife brings a reorientation of identity. Women begin to measure their lives not by how others feel about them, but by how they feel about them, but by how they feel about themselves. Imagine a woman who spent 15 years laughing at jokes she didn't find funny, agreeing with opinions she privately disagreed with, making herself palatable, only to wake up one morning and realize she cannot remember what she actually thinks about anything. That moment is the beginning of the power shift. And it is not aggression, it is awakening. Shift number 2, her silence becomes a boundary, not a defeat. Have you ever noticed that the woman over 40 in your life has stopped arguing with you? Before you call that progress, look closer. When a younger woman goes quiet, it is often because she is afraid. She is swallowing her words to keep you happy. But when a woman over 40 goes quiet, she is not swallowing anything. She is deciding. Psychologists describe this as the shift from reactive communication to intentional communication. She no longer feels the urgency to defend herself in the moment. She knows that her silence is not agreement, and she trusts herself to act on what she has concluded. When she is ready, think about the woman in your life who used to fight for every point in an argument, and now simply nods and later does exactly what she wanted to do anyway. That is not submission, that is mastery. Shift number 3, she stops competing for your attention. This one surprises people every time. There is a gift. There is a certain exhausting dynamic that plays out in early relationships. She texts first. She plans. She makes herself available. She worries about whether you are interested. She is chasing the connection, even when she would never admit it. After 40, she stops chasing, not because she cares less, but because she has finally internalized something that younger women are still learning. Her presence is the gift. She does not need to compete for your attention any more than the ocean needs to compete for yours when you stand at its edge. A woman I once spoke to described it this way. She said, "I used to rearrange my whole day to make sure he noticed me. Now I just live my life beautifully and let him notice on his own terms. That is not coldness. That is self-possession. And here is the quiet danger in that shift. If a man is still waiting to be chased, he will mistake her stillness for indifference, and he will lose her while she is still completely present. Shift number 4, her standards become non-negotiable. Earlier in life, she had standards, but she was willing to negotiate them. She told herself stories. He's going through a hard time. He'll change. I can live with this. After 40, she stops telling those stories. This is one of the most well-documented aspects of mature female psychology, the dramatic increase in self-trust that accompanies midlife. She has now lived enough to know the difference between a temporary rough patch and a fundamental pattern. She can read the truth of a situation faster and more accurately than she ever could at 25. Picture a woman who once stayed in a relationship for years past its natural end, quietly diminishing, quietly hoping, who finally one ordinary Tuesday morning simply decides, no more. No dramatic scene, no ultimatum, just a quiet, unshakable no. That is not stubbornness. That is earned wisdom. And any man who calls it demanding or difficult is really just afraid of a woman who knows what she deserves. Shift number 5. She chooses her peace over your approval. This is perhaps the most radical shift of all, and the one most men are completely unprepared for. For decades, her sense of safety why is partly linked to whether the people around her were pleased with her. If you were happy, she felt okay. If you were disappointed in her, it felt dangerous in a way that was almost physical. After 40, that wiring changes. Developmental psychology describes this as the movement from outer validation to inner authority. She begins to locate her sense of worth inside herself, not in your reaction to her. And once that shift is complete, she becomes genuinely, quietly uncontrollable in the most beautiful way. She will order what she wants at a restaurant without asking if it's too expensive. She will end conversations that drain her without worrying if she seemed rude. She will make a decision about her own life without waiting for anyone's blessing. She does not need your applause to feel good about who she is. And here's the truth that men must understand. A woman who has made this shift cannot be won back through charm or performance. She can only be met, honestly, fully, and without conditions. I want to say something now that I hope stays with you long after this video ends. The woman who stops seeking your approval is not leaving you. She is arriving. She is finally, for the first time in perhaps her whole life, becoming the fullest version of herself. And the tragedy, the quiet, heartbreaking tragedy, is that so many men experience this arrival as a threat. They feel her growing sense of self as rejection. They call her difficult. They say she has changed. Yes, she has stopped waiting for you to tell her she is enough, and she has decided, quietly, privately, without announcement, that she already is. If you love a woman like this, do not try to soften her edges or return her to who she was before. Learn to stand beside her, not in front of her, not behind her, beside her. That is where love lives at this stage of life, not in control. In compan, einyanship. So here is what I want you to carry with you today. A woman over 40 who stops seeking approval is not broken. She is not bitter. She is not difficult. She is free, and freedom, when it comes from a place of love and self-knowledge, is the most beautiful thing a human being can become. The power shift is not the end of love. It is the beginning of real love, the kind that does not depend on performance or permission. Now I want to hear from you. Has a woman in your life made this shift? Or perhaps you are the woman making it right now? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. If this video moved something in you, please like it and share it with someone who needs to hear this today. And subscribe, because our next conversation is about something equally powerful. Until then, I see you. And you are enough.